This is a tweet from Li Fong. He tweets out a letter from Virgin Islands non-voting representative Stacey Plaskett, who was one of the Democrats who grilled Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger in that now infamous Twitter Files hearing. This is a letter that she sent him after he appeared on the Mehdi Hasan show on MSNBC. When you appeared before the House Judiciary Committee subcommittee on weaponization, you told Congressman Stewart from Utah, what we see in the Twitter Files is that Twitter executives did not distinguish between DHS or CISA and this group EIP. For instance, we would see a communication that from CISA escalated by EIP. So they were essentially identical in the eyes of the company. So yes, we have come to the realization that this bright line that we imagine that exists between, say, the FBI or the DHS or the GEC and these private companies is illusory, and that what's more important in this constellation of kind of quasi-private organizations that do this work. The above statements now seem to be contradicted by your own admission. On April 6, 2023, you appeared for an interview on the Mehdi Hasan show on MSNBC. During that interview, Mr. Hasan pointed out that your March 9th tweet added a parenthetical A to the acronym CIS, changing the meaning of the term for Center for Internet Security, a private organization, to Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. This mistake is important because by adding an A, you weren't making a harmless spelling error. That wasn't what it was anyway. Rather, you were alleging that CISA, a government entity, was working with EIP to have posts removed from social media. When presented with this misinformation, you acknowledged that you had made an error by intentionally altering the acronym CIS, and you subsequently deleted your erroneous tweet. Then she goes here, prior to your appearance before the subcommittee on March 9th, you signed the Judiciary Committee's Truth in Testimony form certifying that you understood that knowingly providing material false information to this committee/subcommittee or knowingly concealing material information from this committee is a crime. In addition, at the beginning of the March 9th hearing, you swore under penalty of perjury that the testimony you were about to give was true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief. Under the federal perjury statute, providing false information is punishable by up to 5 years imprisonment. For all of these reasons, I am sure you understand the importance of ensuring that your testimony is true and accurate. I look forward to your prompt response. Signed, Stacey Plaskett.
Okay, so this piece of shit gave tax breaks to Jeffrey Epstein as part of an economic development board in the Virgin Islands after it was known that he was a convicted sex offender, something that she and many other officials on the Virgin Islands have never had a good explanation for. Beyond that, even if, and it turns out that Hasan's accusations were not true, as Fong demonstrated in another article. So here's just quickly, gets technical. Okay, so CIS is an NGO. It's a non-governmental organization that works very closely as a subcontractor with the CISA, which is a government agency dealing with internet speech and foreign interference in elections and this kind of thing. So CIS subcontracts from CISA. EIP was developed in conjunction with CISA and is also a non-governmental organization. So all of these work together very closely, and Li Fong in his article dropped previously unreleased emails that demonstrated conclusively that actually Taibbi's reporting was accurate and true, as was his statement. But beyond that, it's so clear that they're trying to intimidate a reporter. This is where I have to just laugh when you see the Democrats arguing that we have to stop the Republicans because they're a threat to democracy, and you're not.
Right, exactly.
You're not.
Exactly.
This is a horrific threat to democracy. You have sent the IRS to make a house call to a reporter that you don't like. And now you're sending him a threatening letter about 5 years in prison for what at worst would clearly be interpreted as an honest mistake. And it turned out it wasn't a mistake.
Right.
But
so the CIS is basically like, how the military hires out private security forces like BlackRock, and they're not technically military, but they serve as basically, subcontractors of the army itself. Right. That's kind of what that was. Right.
Well,
so it really wasn't an error. But even if it was, at worst, like you said, at worst, this was nowhere near perjury. It doesn't even approach perjury. It doesn't even approach consciously lying under oath. At worst, it was a mistake. It was an error. So there's no.
This happens in reporting. Like at worst, that happens all the time. That's why they call it the first draft of history.
Right.
Happens
It's
all
nowhere
the time.
near perjury. I mean, it's completely fucking out about. And look, you have some hack piece of garbage like Mehdi Hasan go on MSNBC and try and score points and put on a show and throw some red meat to his fucking moron audience.
Which is good.
Yes, the dumbest people in the history of this country are the people who watch that garbage and think of it as actual information or news or perspective of value, right? You want to go on there and you want to own Matt Taibbi for the camera so that your fucking morons in the audience go, see, the Twitter files, nothing burger, whatever. Fine. It's a bullshit show. It is, as Russell says, that is to news what grape drink is to grape juice, right? It's not actual juice. It has no nutritional value. It is an imitation knockoff product of what actual news is. Okay, fine. You want to do that, put on a little show, that's fine. But then to have that followed up, this bogus insinuation of perjury, to have that followed up by a government official sending a threatening letter to a journalist about 5 years imprisonment for perjury, which, like we've said, at worst, this nowhere approaches perjury. And now you want us to give a fuck about Fox News' Dominion settlement? I'm sorry, I don't fucking care. I don't care. Don't bother me with that. It's irrelevant. I don't want to fucking hear it. We were thinking about covering that as a headline. I called Russell. I said, you know what? Given this, no, fuck that. I don't even talk to me about that. Yeah. It's such nonsense. This is the real fascism right here. So plainly and obviously. You have a talk show. This is a talk show. Mehdi Hasan show is a talk show. It is an opinion presentation. It is infotainment. It is junk food. And you have this fucking imbecile who no one ever fucking heard of until she somehow appeared on TV for the weaponization hearing. She watches that and says, maybe I'll send this father of three a letter that, hey, maybe you should clear this up because, you could go to prison for 5 years over this.
Right.
I mean, tell me these are not I'm sorry, MSNBC is not the threat to democracy at this point?
Right.
Come on.
You look at Plaskett, you look at Debbie Wasserman Schultz. These are just some of the fucking worst people on earth. They are just the scum of the earth. Like, you cannot watch how they conducted themselves in that hearing if you have any belief in free speech and a free press without your blood boiling. Like, really, it's like reading that letter. I actually have Robert, who helps us out sometimes with the camera work when we're doing street reporting. He sent me a message. It was like, this is just making my blood boil. And yeah. I mean, these are just the worst people. And you look at what they've actually done themselves. Wasserman Schultz takes money from the liquor lobby and comes out against marijuana. She took a lot of money from private prisons.
Right.
You look at Plaskett, helped out Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, that's about as low as it gets. So these people are the fucking scum of the earth, playing moralists with real reporters. It's just disgusting. And that's why I would say very comfortably now, yeah, man, I'm going to vote for whoever I think is most going to defend people like Matt Taibbi. And yeah, that's probably going to be a Republican. Like, what difference does it make? What, I'm supposed to vote Democrat or make sure to support Democrats? Right. I mean, without freedom of speech, what else do we have? we have nothing left. Like I said, normally I do third party. If there's no third party candidate, I do a write-in, but not this time. Not this time because of this issue. I mean, if there's nobody who's good on that issue, then I'll do the third party or write-in. But if there is, they'll get my vote.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's just really a despicable thing. I mean, I couldn't believe it when that came across the wire. I'm like, whoa. So because, this was in the air, right? Mehdi Hasan, a few days after, and, like I said, it's just fucking out of bounds. Like, this is all to an extent, especially on a program like his, right? It's all theater. That's not to say there's no value in it. There's value in theater. Russ and I used to do theater, right? We think theater is important, right? A debate on a TV show is a debate, right? So you set up a debate on a TV show, and then you try and do this gotcha where you tweet out to your 1.2 million followers that he deliberately lied under oath, which is just utter fucking nonsense. Utter fucking nonsense.
Right,
Even if you had him on the substance, which you didn't, it would still be utter nonsense to claim that he lied under oath. That's fucking out of bounds. Right. It's out of fucking bounds.
And AOC.
Right, exactly.
AOC tweeted it out.
Yeah. I mean, you don't threaten that kind of shit on people. Like, talk about anti-democratic, right? Where a guy can't come on a TV show and have a debate with you without fear that you're going to willfully misinterpret something he said as him having perjured himself in Congress the week prior or 2 weeks prior, whenever it was.
Well, I mean, this has nothing.
It
has nothing to do with truth. It has nothing to do with justice. That's why I always say when I look at these people, they always remind me of Stanley Tucci in the Hunger Games. They're just lapdogs to the elites that they serve. Oh, the girl on fire! That's what these people are, man. They're just courtiers to power, playing dress up as reporters.
Please clap.